Imagine receiving like the most significant promotion of your entire life.
Oh, wow. That sounds terrifying already.
Right. I mean, I'm talking about the absolute peak of your career, the moment everything you've ever worked toward just culminates in this one massive public announcement.
Okay, I can picture it.
The cameras are rolling, the crowd is waiting, the executives are up at the podium, and you are found hiding in a supply closet.
Yeah, that is like the ultimate manifestation of imposter syndrome right there.
Exactly. And frankly, it's a deeply human reaction to overwhelming pressure. Welcome to our deep dive. May God bless your day and your entire week ahead as we embark on this journey of learning together.
Yes, absolutely. It's so good to be here.
And that incredibly relatable tension, that urge to just hide, is exactly what we are exploring today. We are pulling insights from some really detailed commentary in the Holman and NAA study Bibles.
Specifically focusing on 1 Samuel chapter 10.
Right. And our mission for you listening today is to analyze the fascinating, just deeply complicated psychology of Saul.
Because, most of you already know the basic narrative arc.
The Sunday school version, right?
Yeah, exactly. The ordinary guy who's out searching for his father's lost donkeys, and he ends up being anointed as the very first king of Israel.
But today we're moving way past that basic summary to look at the anatomy of how leadership is actually formed.
Because it is definitely not an overnight thing.
No, not at all. We're going to examine the internal terror of sudden responsibility, some of the wild theological paradoxes of his coronation, and some highly practical strategies for handling critics when you step into a new arena.
Because the transition from, agrarian life to the monarchy is just staggering.
It's a massive leap.
It is. And what becomes immediately clear when you analyze the text in these study notes is that anointing a leader is actually the easy part.
Pouring the oil is simple.
Right. Constructing the internal architecture of a leader, giving them the psychological and emotional capacity to actually govern, that is much more complex, deliberate process.
So let's jump right into that process. We all know the inciting incident. Saul is out looking for livestock. He runs into the prophet Samuel. And in this completely private moment, Samuel pours a flask of oil on Saul's head.
Which is huge.
It is. But Samuel doesn't just, declare him ruler and walk away. He maps out this hyper-specific sequence of events that Saul will encounter on his journey home.
Yeah, it's so detailed.
He tells him he's going to meet 2 men at Rachel's tomb, then 3 men at the Oak of Tabor. It's wild.
The precision is what makes it so compelling, really. Samuel provides this prophetic itinerary that is designed to systematically dismantle Saul's natural disbelief.
Because he probably thought Samuel was crazy, right?
Totally. Think about the psychological state of a man who, until literally 24 hours ago, was entirely consumed with agricultural chores.
Right, just farm stuff.
Yeah, you don't just flip a switch and become a monarch. So the first sign at Rachel's tomb addresses his most immediate anxiety. The men tell him the donkeys are found, and his father is now worried about him.
Which is actually brilliant if you think about it, because it clears his mental slate.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't process a national calling if your brain is still stuck on farm logistics.
Precisely the point. God is removing those mundane distractions to free up Saul's cognitive load for what comes next.
And what comes next is highly symbolic, right?
Oh, incredibly symbolic. At the Oak of Tabor, he meets 3 men going up to worship. The sources note one has 3 young goats, another has 3 loaves of bread, and the third has a skin of wine.
Okay, wait.
And they greet Saul and hand him exactly 2 loaves of bread.
I want to stop on those 2 loaves for a second, because this isn't just, someone sharing a road trip snack. These are sacrificial provisions.
Right, they were on their way to worship.
So why such overwhelming detail for a guy who just wanted to find his dad's livestock? Why is an omnipotent God using bread to build a leader's confidence? Why not just instantly infuse his mind with courage?
Well, because human psychology requires a tangible process of validation.
We need physical proof.
We do. And the bread is profoundly significant. These men are on a pilgrimage to a holy site. Sacrificial bread was typically reserved for the priesthood or for an offering to God.
It wasn't just handed out.
No, handing 2 loaves to a random Benjamite farmer is a massive breach of standard protocol.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So by accepting this bread, Saul is receiving physical, undeniable evidence that his status in the societal and spiritual hierarchy has fundamentally shifted.
That is fascinating.
The study notes emphasize that God is accommodating Saul's human weakness by giving him physical milestones to lean on.
That makes the transition feel so much more grounded. But external proof is one thing, right? Leading a nation requires more than a divine scavenger hunt.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
requires a complete psychological overhaul, which explains the dramatic shift that happens when he reaches his final stop at Gibeah.
The final sign.
Right. But before we get to the spiritual side of Gibeah, we have to talk about the geopolitical reality of that location. The study notes mention there is a Philistine garrison stationed there.
Which is a huge detail. The presence of that garrison changes the entire complexion of the narrative.
Because they're the enemy.
Right. Israel is, in many ways, an occupied territory at this point. The Philistines are a constant, existential military threat, and God specifically orchestrates Saul's pivotal transformation to happen right in the shadow of that enemy outpost.
Why do that, though? I mean, if you're building up a fragile new leader, wouldn't you want his foundational moments to happen in a safe, insulated environment?
You would think so, but you don't train a warrior king in a vacuum.
Ah, okay.
By placing this transformative moment at Gibeah, the narrative establishes the stark reality of Saul's mandate. His job isn't just to wear a crown.
Right.
His job is to eventually confront and dismantle that exact garrison. The proximity to the threat clarifies the whole purpose of the calling.
Okay, so he arrives at this tense, militarized location, and he encounters this roaming band of prophets coming down from a high place.
Yeah, the text says they are prophesying.
And they're playing a very specific array of instruments, right? Harps, tambourines, flutes, and lyres.
Yes, and the study notes explain that music was widely used in the ancient world to stimulate intense spiritual focus.
Sort of like a prophetic trance.
Exactly. It creates this atmosphere where the Spirit of God, as the text says, rushes upon Saul.
Rushes upon him.
Yes, and it says he is changed into a different person.
Okay, wait, I have to push back on the mechanics of this for a second.
Sure, good.
If God literally changes his heart and turns him into a different person, does that erase Saul's free will? Like, is God just installing a leadership software update and turning this farmer into a divine puppet?
That is a really crucial distinction to make, and the commentary is clear here. It is not an erasure of his core humanity or his agency.
So no mind control.
No mind control. It is capacity building. He is being equipped with the spiritual and emotional fortitude required to govern. It's a sort of divine empowerment for a very specific role.
Okay.
But his free will, his fears,
Yeah.
and his human flaws remain entirely intact.
And it was so out of character for him that it actually birthed a popular proverb, right?
Yes. Is Saul also among the prophets?
Because people were just baffled. He had no prior spiritual or leadership pedigree at all.
None whatsoever.
And the proof that he's not just a brainwashed puppet is actually what happens immediately afterward.
Oh, with his uncle.
Yeah. He goes home, his uncle asks him where he's been and what Samuel said, and Saul gives him this full update on the donkey situation, but completely conceals the part about becoming king of Israel.
It's so relatable. He entirely compartmentalizes the biggest news of his life.
Completely avoids it.
Right. Despite the undeniable external signs like the men and the bread, and despite the very real internal empowerment at Gibeah, the human element of fear still overrides his confidence.
It's like the ancient equivalent of landing a massive, intimidating executive role, and when you go to Thanksgiving dinner, you just tell your family that your commute changed.
That is exactly what it's like.
You don't want to say the title out loud because saying it makes the expectations real.
And think about it. If he tells his uncle, the questions start instantly.
Oh, for sure.
How are you going to defeat the Philistines? What's your tax policy going to be?
And he doesn't know any of that yet.
He is utterly unprepared for the interrogation. It is a protective mechanism. He needs time to sit with the private reality before facing the public scrutiny.
Which brings us to the moment where that private knowledge violently collides with the public sphere.
The gathering at Mizpah.
Yes, Samuel gathers the entire nation, but this gathering starts with a massive theological paradox.
It really does.
Samuel stands before the nation and essentially says, God delivered you from Egypt, God saved you from all your calamities, but today you have rejected him by demanding a human king.
It's a harsh reminder.
But here's the thing. If asking for a king is a fundamental rejection of God's direct rule, why is God micromanaging this draft process? Why give Saul a new heart and set him up for success? Why accommodate a sinful request?
That is perhaps the most profound theological tension in the entire book of Samuel.
It's so contradictory on the surface.
It is, but the study notes highlight that it demonstrates God's willingness to condescend to human weakness.
How so?
Well, the people's demand for a king was rooted in a desire to be, quote, like all the other nations. They wanted a visible military leader rather than invisible divine providence.
So is a lack of faith.
Exactly. Yet, instead of abandoning them to the consequences of their flawed choice, God works within their broken system.
Wow.
He gives them the king they asked for, but he attempts to mold that king into a vessel for his own purposes. It's a really powerful illustration of grace operating within a compromised framework.
God doesn't wait for us to build perfect systems. He operates within the messy, flawed structures we create.
Beautifully said.
So within that messy structure, they proceed to use this lottery system.
Yeah.
Right, to narrow down the choice publicly. It removes human politicking and relies on divine will, so they go tribe by tribe, clan by clan. It's like a high-stakes, nationally televised draft.
The tension must have been wild.
Right. The #1 overall pick is announced. Saul, son of Kish. The crowd is ready to explode, and the guy is literally nowhere to be found.
It's almost comical. They have to inquire of the Lord just to locate him, and the answer comes back. He has hidden himself among the baggage.
Hiding in the luggage. We laugh at it, but the psychology here, which the notes really unpack, is agonizing.
It's deeply sad, actually.
Think about what that luggage represents. It's the equipment, the supplies, the burdens of the people he is supposed to be leading.
Wow, yeah.
He is burying himself underneath the very things he is now responsible for managing.
That's a great point. He has the signs, he has the changed heart, yet in the moment of public execution, he just suffers from sheer crippling panic.
Massive hesitation.
It highlights a vital lesson for anyone stepping into leadership, really.
Yeah.
Spiritual preparation does not inoculate you against human terror.
No,
He knew the massive expectations of the nation. He knew about those Philistine garrisons, and he realized that stepping out from behind that baggage meant he could never go back to the quiet life of a farmer.
the finality of it just broke his nerve.
Exactly.
So they physically pull him out from the equipment piles, and when he stands up, the text notes he's taller than everyone else, from the shoulders up.
Yes.
Yeah.
He superficially fits the exact physical mold this ancient nation wanted.
He looks like a warrior.
Right, and the crowd sees the broad shoulders and erupts with, "Long live the king."
But the contrast there is staggering.
It really is.
Yeah.
The crowd is cheering for his physical stature, completely blind to his internal terror.
Which is so relatable.
It's something anyone in a highly visible role can understand. You are often required to project the stature of the position while simultaneously managing the internal panic of your own inadequacy.
Right, the crowd only sees the crown. They don't see the desire to hide in the supply closet.
Perfectly put.
But, the confetti eventually drops, the shouting stops, and Monday morning arrives.
The real work begins.
Exactly. What are the actual rules of engagement here? Because Israel has never had a king. They don't have a precedent for this new monarchy.
And this is where Samuel implements a piece of political architecture that was incredibly revolutionary for its time.
Okay, I love this part.
Samuel doesn't just hand Saul a crown and absolute power.
Right.
He explains the rights and duties of the kingship, writes them down on a scroll, and places it before the Lord.
We really need to pause and appreciate how radical that scroll is.
It's completely countercultural.
When we think of ancient Near Eastern kings like pharaohs in Egypt or Canaanite warlords, we usually think of unchecked despots, right?
Yes, their word was literal law. They owned the people.
But this document essentially creates a constitutional monarchy. It acts as a check and balance.
Exactly. It codifies that the human king is not the ultimate authority. The king is a vassal, a servant who is subject to a higher divine law.
Both the king and the people are subject to it.
Right. He doesn't own the citizens. He is responsible for shepherding them according to the parameters written on that scroll. It immediately limits executive power, which was an utterly foreign concept in the ancient world.
So after this constitution is ratified, the assembly is dismissed. Saul goes home to Gibeah.
The honeymoon phase.
Yeah. And the text notes that a group of valiant men whose hearts God had touched go with him. These are the early adopters, the loyal base who recognize the calling.
But of course, it doesn't stay peaceful.
No. Every new leader inevitably faces the immediate emergence of critics. Does everyone accept the new boss? Definitely not.
The emergence of the opposition is almost instantaneous.
Yeah, the text refers to this faction as the Sons of Belial.
Yes.
Let's unpack that term a bit based on the study notes without getting too bogged down in dictionary definitions. Who are these people and why are they so angry?
Well, the specific study notes on this Hebrew word Belial explain it essentially means perverse, worthless, or wicked men.
Strong words.
Very. But in a practical sense, these are men completely opposed to the new established order.
Why, though?
You have to remember the tribal dynamics.
Mm.
Saul is from Benjamin, which is the smallest tribe. There were likely prominent, wealthy leaders from much larger tribes, like Judah or Ephraim, who felt entirely passed over.
Ah, bruised egos.
Exactly. They despised Saul. They refused to bring him customary royal presents, which, was the standard diplomatic way to acknowledge a new king's authority back then.
It's an open insult.
It is. And they openly sneer, "How can this man save us?"
So they aren't just critiquing his policies, they are completely invalidating his right to exist in that space.
They are bad faith actors operating purely on contempt.
So how does Saul react? The guy who was just shaking in the luggage is now facing venomous public criticism.
This is where we see the changed heart actually manifest in his behavior.
Oh, interesting.
The text simply says that Saul kept silent, or, as the notes explain, translated more literally from the Hebrew idiom, he acted deaf.
He intentionally chose not to hear them.
Yes.
But, I have to push back here for a second.
Sure.
In an ancient honor-shame culture, if someone publicly insults the new king and refuses to pay tribute, doesn't ignoring them make Saul look incredibly weak?
It seems like it would, yes.
Shouldn't a newly minted warrior king establish dominance immediately and crush a rebellion before it starts?
It might look like weakness to an outsider, absolutely,
Yeah?
but it actually requires immense internal strength.
How so?
Saul realizes that engaging with these specific critics would legitimize their disrespect. If he arrests them or argues with them, he elevates them to his level.
Ah, I see.
True power is having the restraint to focus on the mission rather than the distraction.
That is a phenomenal, highly practical modern takeaway.
It really is.
In today's terms, in our corporate or social landscapes, we often feel compelled to defend ourselves against every slight.
We want to fight the trolls.
Exactly. We want to engage the trolls. But Saul didn't waste his mandate fighting petty boardroom battles.
No, he didn't.
He knew his validation came from the private anointing, those divine signs, and the public draft. It did not come from the approval of the sons of Belial.
He stayed grounded in the truth.
Yeah. Choosing to selectively turn a deaf ear to baseless, worthless negativity isn't weakness. It is a timeless, vital survival strategy for preserving your focus.
It shows remarkable emotional maturity on his part. He acknowledges that you cannot win over everyone when you step into a new paradigm.
We just can't.
So instead of forcing their submission right then and there, he goes home and focuses on the work ahead. He lets his future actions validate his calling rather than getting derailed by early detractors.
So, if we pull all these threads together for the listener, this journey from looking for lost livestock to governing a nation provides a complete, holistic roadmap for taking on daunting new responsibilities.
It absolutely does.
We've seen that stepping into true leadership means navigating that intense friction between your private preparation and your public execution. It requires an internal transformation. And it means accepting that spiritual or professional validation doesn't just magically erase imposter syndrome.
Right. The narrative validates the reality of that fear.
Right.
It's actually okay to feel the urge to hide in the luggage sometimes.
We've all been there.
We have.
But it also provides the strategy for moving forward. Rely on the tangible milestones you've been given, understand the rules and parameters of your authority, and cultivate the wisdom to just act deaf to the critics who simply want to see you fail.
I think that is the perfect place to land today. It validates the fear, but provides the strategy.
Yes.
Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought for you to mull over as you go about your week, whether you're managing a household, leading a team, or stepping into a completely new phase of life.
I love this.
Think about your own circumstances right now. What baggage are you currently hiding behind to avoid a new responsibility or a calling that you know you're meant to take on?
That's a challenging question.
It really is. May God bless all of you listening. Until next time.